Okay, we've got the second rugby league test between England and New Zealand this afternoon in Anfield. Now, what happened last week was the game was very scrappy. The atmosphere was very, very flat. There were a lot of changes for both sides. There were some experienced players coming through, and so it was interesting to see like how the game played out. It's very close. It ended up 18-16 to England. So what I'm expecting today is the New Zealanders to come back and really give it some physicality. I think the New Zealanders will be very, very unhappy with the fact that they allowed, well, England off the hook. There was one point where they had a try disallowed. They were clearly pressurising an inexperienced England backline, and I think what the New Zealanders are going to have to do is they're going to have to target the, the halves channel basically with Sam Tompkins in the halves, which I don't think worked. I know he got the try in the first half, but I don't think it worked. I think they're going to have to target that defensive channel. They're going to have to target those inexperienced wingers. They really are. The pack was pretty even, but again is lacking Sam Burgess because he's out recovering from surgery. They're going to have to target key areas. England, on the other hand, I think they're going to have to be a little bit less expansive. They're going to have to be more conservative with their play at times. I think they were trying to overplay. We know that the Anfield surface is very, very good. I know the weather, if I look outside, isn't looking great. The temperature's roughly the same as it was last week, but there's a far more chance of heavier rain. There was rain in the last test. I think England are going to have to be a little bit more conservative with the ball, possibly. Just keep it simple plays. There's a lot of chopping and changing. What I've noticed about England is they don't seem very fluent. I don't know if this is a Wayne Bennett thing or is this an England thing. I know there's a mix of NRL and Super League players. They don't seem as fluent as they could be. They need to get players like Jermaine McGilvery on the ball, hitting up, because I think he's one of the few players that regularly performs for England. He regularly puts a shift in for 80 minutes. I think they're going to have to give him a lot of the ball and keep him on the ball as much as possible. When he does get the ball, they're going to have to give him as much support as possible as well. Gillart's try last week showed what happens when you do have the winger supporting the forward in a line break. Bateman, he's going to have to be important as well. He might have to play centre at times. So these players are going to be important for England. I don't know about Sam Tompkins, whether playing in the halves is his right position. He has done it before at club level at Wigan back in the day. He has primarily played at fullback. And even then, I think there's better halves in England and there's better fullbacks available for England than Sam Tompkins. I think that was just purely an emergency measure last week. But again, if England are going to have a chance to win, they're going to have to shut down Sean Johnson, put a lot of pressure on his kicking, put a lot of pressure on his playmaking, because we know Sean Johnson has a quick step and can pass the ball. And create a play, but his kicking can sometimes let him down. England have got to put a lot of pressure on Sean Johnson, and also try and not allow New Zealand's back three to get a run up, because the New Zealand's back three of Witani Zelezniak and Rapana, they're huge. I forget the other winger's name, but these guys are all over 6 foot. They're all over 14, 15 stone. They all can run at pace. These guys are big. They're built like forwards. They've got to try and restrict their opportunities and not give them the space, because if they give them the space, they're going to run it back. So England's kicking has to be accurate. I'm expecting, again, a close game. It could be close like last week. I wouldn't be surprised if New Zealand try and up their level of possession, because they are the better side. I think New Zealand across the board are the better side. They're all NRL players. But again, New Zealand and England have had to make a lot of changes over the last year. New Zealand have had a new coach and a new culture brought in. England are beset by injuries and suspensions, so they can't really select their best starting 13s and their best 18 squads. I will admit that. But New Zealand, I think they just showed that NRL quality last week. I know they lost, but that try that was disallowed, on another day it might have been given. And again, goal kicking, I think, was crucial. Sean Johnson was lights out. So it could come down to penalties. It could come down to something really stupid. I don't know if the game will be flowing today, but I am expecting it to be a brutal encounter and a high intensity as well. Atmosphere is something I'll be looking at in the stadium. They're playing at Anfield, which is not a rugby league stadium; it's a football stadium. So, obviously, Liverpool normally are the team that play there in the English Premier League. It's to choose for this international? We will find out in about 4 hours' time when the match kicks off. I've criticised the choice of stadium. We shall see. If they pack it out and the atmosphere is good, it's a stroke of genius by English Rugby League. If it ends up like last week, where you've got a multi-use stadium like the KC Stadium in Hull, which was half empty, which is a rugby league city, then there is a concern here about, is it ticket pricing? Is it because it's clashing with the Rugby Union Internationals, the Premier League, etc.? They have to have a look at why it isn't working. But there we go. It's going to be a close game, Alex. I'm going for a New Zealand win. I think they have a point to prove. I think they have got the quality to do it. I think they were unlucky not to win last week, and I think England were very lucky to win by 2 points. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll have a review video on the match after the match is completed in a couple of hours' time. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll have some more videos for you soon.